Welcome back to the 1090 podcast. Life's 10% what happens to you and 90% what you're going to do about it. And Ryan, I might need your help here because you met Kelly. How did we get here? Why is Kelly Jewel? And we're honored, by the way, and excited to hear your story.
Yeah,
how did we meet her?
Me and Kelly met by way of Steve Phillips. Steve Phillips helps me and Kelly produce the music. Steve is the producer that worked on the song that we're working on.
SP.
Yeah, Steve's great.
Yes.
Steve's awesome. And because we were working on the song, he was like, you got to talk to Kelly. and I was like, okay, give me a little, rundown story about Kelly. And I was like, I need to talk to Kelly. and then
That's great.
Just, we never really linked up because Steve didn't, link us up. And then I happened to be going into the studio one day to work on a song and Kelly was leaving. And I was like, Kelly, you have a really sad story. Let's talk. And then I trapped her and I kind of felt bad afterwards, but she was a good sport.
No reason to feel bad.
You use, because Kelly, you're a music artist, singer, songwriter, right?
Yeah.
Country, that's your genre?
Yes.
That was my wife's Courtney. That was her favorite
She loved country.
genre of music.
Great.
You use music like is that a good outlet for your grief, would you say?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Man, like, if I had any musical talent at all, no, I think that'd be my outlet. I love music so much. I listen to it all day. I just don't have it.
Have you ever tried to play an instrument?
This is what I did, Kelly, and this was a mistake. I put all my eggs in the basketball basket. And for 5'10" white kids from Utah, it's not a great basket. Basketball's a hard sport for short people, but that's literally all I did is play basketball. So I have no musical talent at all. I'd like to learn how to play the guitar.
You should try.
And Ryan just said it, I love music so much, I even wrote a song. I wrote a song because, I do think it's an outlet, and I love music.
So that's the one you guys are...
Yeah, it's called Needle in My Soul. No one thinks it's very good except me, but, that's art. In my opinion, if you like it, then that's all that matters. And then some people like it, some people won't, and most people will think nothing of it. It'll be whatever, but... go ahead and sing us a song. No, I'm just joking.
It's you. I was not warned
just
of
put
this.
you on the spot. Favorite give us some country singers, artists, bands you like though. Let's get to know you a little bit. Who do you listen to?
Tyler Childers is I don't know if either of you know who he is.
Yeah, I know him.
But he's coming here this year and I got tickets.
So you're excited. When's he coming?
I think it's August.
Okay.
USANA. Life is good. Yeah.
Who else do you like?
I love Zach Bryan. Everybody likes Zach Bryan right now.
I love Zach Bryan.
Yeah, he's
good. Got some sad songs that are yes, sign me up.
Oh yeah, and Charles Wesley Godwin, that type of country is my.
Are most so? Is your music kind of slower, sadder type, Zach Bryan type music, or?
Yeah, but it's a mix. We have some.
You'll get after
upbeat
it.
stuff too. So
you'll get.
Well, you called it Americano.
Yeah,
that's probably a better. Yes. Lane for it.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Yeah. That's me.
Yeah, should be a good one today. Life's 10% what happens to you and 90% what you're going to do about it. Welcome back to the 1090 podcast. Life's 10% what happens to you and 90% what you're going to do about it. We are here with Kelly Jewel. Kelly, this is the first time you have ever talked.
Yes, sir.
There's zero planning in the 1090 podcast. There is. We plan nothing.
And it works.
And it works. We just talk it out. Kelly, where should we start? Let's start first marriage. Because you know what? It's always, at least it is for me and a lot of stories, it's always kind of happily ever after. Your life's going so good. And then, boom.
Yep.
So maybe take us there. How'd you guys meet? You guys get married. Everything's great before it got bad.
So we met through, I was actually the maid of honor and he was the best man in a wedding.
Perfect.
So, yeah, like super cute.
Yes. Did you catch the flowers?
No, I
That
didn't.
would have put it over
I
the
know.
top.
I should have.
Yeah.
Fought for them. Yeah, and we're married. I moved out here from California, and we got married, and yeah, had 2 little girls, and
What were their names? What are
Callie
they?
and Tessa.
Callie and Tessa.
Tessa, yep.
Cute.
And yeah, like you said, life's going great. Life's going good. And then he.
What's your first husband's name?
Oh, Clint.
Clint.
Yeah, hello.
There you go. No, yeah,
It's
you're
kind
good.
of important. Yeah, and so then he started getting a little bit sick and fevers and basically like a checklist of like what leukemia is, like the
Before
warning
he's
signs of
diagnosed.
it. Yeah. I have a brother-in-law that's a doctor, and he said, well, you might like some of these things kind of are signs of cancer.
So is Clint, he's a pretty healthy guy though up to this
Yeah,
point?
like
and how old are you guys right now?
in our 20s.
In your 20s, you have 2 kids. And what did he do for work?
Well, he was in medical sales going to school to be a school counselor. Had
Oh,
just
wow.
started. Yeah. So,
Awesome.
yeah, like we had plans.
And then
man.
what were you just singing? What were you doing? Stay-at-home mom? Were you working, singing?
I was teaching online high school. I'm a history teacher.
No way.
Yeah. So,
Online?
super cool.
You like teaching online?
I hated it.
I don't think it'd be fun because the funnest part about teaching is interact. You just like
Yeah.
it's the interaction with the
and we were
kids
like ahead of that curve, so like
Yeah.
I had to write a bunch of curriculum for it and stuff. Like it was
Okay, so
yeah.
you guys are both working. Okay,
yeah.
Got
So he told my brother-in-law, said, and we were like, I was like, that's not cancer. Like, no,
Yeah.
that's ridiculous. And then we actually, our family doctor was our friend, and I was in California for a friend's wedding, and he was here, and he was like, he's driving me to the hospital right now. Like, I need to go get checked. And was like, okay, that's not good.
So Clint goes to the doctor,
Yeah.
and do they like diagnose him on the spot, or is it kind of
Yeah,
like a maybe?
they drew his blood and everything, and then he called me and said, yeah, it's one of those moments where like literally the world stands still, and you're just like,
Yeah,
what?
like you,
Like that's not real.
like you went to bed last night,
Yeah,
and your biggest worry was history exam,
exactly.
and now it's like,
Nothing's ever the same.
who cares about a history exam? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what's like the verbiage they use? Like, how do they tell you like Clint has? Like, what did they say?
Well, that was the hardest part because I wasn't there with him physically.
Yeah.
So that was like excruciating that night. I remember just sitting downstairs in my parents' living room, just shaking and like them asking what I wanted to eat and being like, what?
Yeah, like
Yeah, like just nothing was
But
there.
then you're like, oh yeah, I haven't eaten in 2 days.
Yeah,
so like it is
exactly.
a valid question, but like I can't eat. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so, and then finally I was able to get back out there, and just walking into that room and seeing them there was, it was, yeah.
So what's Clint's demeanor reaction? How did he handle this news?
It was up and down, as it, like, because he was like a really strong person that like faced things head on as it was, but like I can't even imagine what that would feel like for yourself.
I wonder if he's just in shock. From my experience, like when I got the phone call with my family, it's just you're in and out of shock, anger. It's just the stages of grief, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
You're just kind of going through all of them, and there's ebbs and flows of it. Mm-hmm. So did they tell you like he's done, or he has a chance to live? Did they give you a time frame? Did they give you options? What was that?
Yeah, we loved his doctor. He was amazing, and he was diagnosed with a form of leukemia that is very aggressive in adults. It's normally children that are diagnosed with that type, but but in adults. And then I went on the internet, which was like the worst.
Yeah, they say never to do this.
Yeah. And I remember my mom was with me in my home, just crawling into bed with her and crying because it was like not positive for, but the doctors, of course, are like, we're going to fight it. We'll come up with the regimen for you and what we're going to do. So you have hope, obviously. So
did they give you any? For some reason, I care so much about time because in my mind, like if a doctor says you have 10 months, like I've always wondered, like what the hell is that even like?
Yeah.
So they didn't. It was just it was you might die. Like I just want to know like what was the understanding of Clint? Like he might die, he might not. What was it a percentage?
Well, no, not in the beginning. Like, and he even went into remission really quickly. So it was like, yeah, like we got this.
So we've done. I don't know, but we've had people on who've lost loved ones to cancer, kids, whatever, and so many of them have this. Like, so it goes bad. Like you get the news of the cancer, and then they get this hope. Like, it's happened so many times, and they get this feeling like we're gonna beat it, light at the end of the tunnel, and then boom, it like breaks your heart again.
Yeah. Oh gosh, the roller coaster ride that it is, and it was only a year from the time he was diagnosed to when he passed away. So like, it was very condensed and very high and very low and very high. Like it was just a lot for a year. But yeah, in the beginning, it was all hope. It was all positive.
So is he still working at all during this, or is he just going through treatment?
Yeah, I mean his company was really kind and tried really hard to make it so that he could work from there, but eventually he did have to, because he was in the hospital so much that and luckily I had my job and but like financially it's obviously a huge blow too. So.
And then like, how old are your kids?
My littlest had just turned a year, and then my oldest was 3 or 4. Yeah, 4.
So how do you go about that with those kids? Like, I mean, what did you do with that? I don't even know what to do.
Well, luckily his parents lived here, so like as far as them being taken care of and loved, like that was okay. But I mean, I feel because my oldest, she actually has memories of it. Like she'll bring it up to me and I'll be like, oh my gosh, yeah, you really do remember that.
I have that with Blue a lot.
Do you?
With like I remember when me and Mom went and saw these Christmas I'm like, what? Like,
yeah, how do you remember that? Right?
Wow.
Yeah. So, I know that she was aware of what was going on, which like breaks my heart now. Because when you're in it, it's just like survival mode, Yeah. So, yeah, that sucks.
And like, so when it was getting, I'm guessing like his health got worse and worse as he got closer and closer to the end.
Well, the thing that like, this is one of those things you can't dwell on. Like he was in remission. So a bone marrow transplant is like with people with leukemia, a lot of times what they do so that was oh gosh, I keep doing that. That was in his future and we knew that. But he developed a tumor in his arm. So they couldn't do the bone marrow transplant because you have to be incomplete. So like, I always think like if he had been able to do it when he was in remission like what would have happened? But it's like, you can't go there. So,
is the tumor, is that just a separate thing from the cancer? Or is it kind of part of it? It just seems like a sick joke almost. Like, oh, like about to go get treatment. Well, you have a tumor now.
Yeah. So now we have to
like,
take care of
like, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. It sometimes it gets so dark and bad. You almost just, you either have to cry or laugh, honestly.
Yeah.
At least I do. Like, this is a joke. Like, my life's a joke. Like, how did this happen?
How is this happening? Yeah.
And I'm sure Clint was a great guy. Like, to the best people it happens to.
Yeah.
It's just so frustrating.
It is.
Okay, so he gets the tumor. And now what?
So now he's delayed, and in the meantime, the leukemia comes back. So they tried to get rid of it again, doing another course of chemo, and he never went into remission again. But it was at that point where it was like, either we do this, or because you're supposed to be in complete remission when you do the bone marrow transplant. But it was like literally the only option. So we were able to go forward and do that. And that was when there was like hope again, like
Not again.
we got this, man,
Yeah.
And he totally thought that too.
And like, what mindset are you supposed to have?
Exactly.
Like, probably not going to make, like, you don't have that mindset. Yeah, of course you're going to be like, yeah, like this is, you have the faith and the hope and the whole thing.
Oh yeah.
And the day he passed, what do you remember it, or what was?
Yeah.
I mean, sorry, that was a stupid question, but like,
No,
but kind of not, because
it's not stupid.
I know when I got the phone call with my family, there's a lot I actually don't remember. But yeah, if I know it sucks to talk about, but if you could take us back to that day.
Well, yeah. So, sorry, I'm going to go back a little bit further.
Yeah, you do your thing.
Because he called me. He had to go for an appointment, just a checkup, I think. And I didn't go with him.
I was just picturing him like getting worse and worse in the hospital bed, and then like, yeah, that's not how it went down.
Well,
he's driving himself.
No.
Sorry.
No, yeah, someone took him to that.
Okay.
I feel bad that I don't remember, but I was with the girls, and I think it was just a routine, so that's why I didn't go, because it was like they're just. So he called me, and was like, so. They just told me that, like, this is the end. Like, there's nothing they can do. And that was the moment of, like, I remember, like some things you do forget, but some things are, like, ingrained.
Yeah, that's the truth.
Like, I can literally see myself. I was at my kitchen sink and just, like, dry heaving. Because, like, and just, like, taking a set and just... Yeah, there's those moments, like I said, where just the world stands still, and like I can feel it in my body right now, just like things you don't think about very often. Like, this is not a moment I think, or I don't know if I even really talked to anybody about.
Yeah.
And then his brother came and get me, and we went down there.
Real quick, I mean, I hate to interrupt, but
no.
You just remind me of this, because I was asked yesterday by someone that said how can you prepare for grief, was essentially his question. And I thought about like there's nothing, like that's why it's grief. Like, there's not a book you can read, there's not a class you can go to, there's not a movie you can watch. Like, there's nothing that can prepare you for it. That's literally why it's grief. Like, and you saying, what did you say that reminded me of it? But you just, Clint, like, he's diagnosed with leukemia and a tumor. Not shocking that you get this news, right? Like, it's on your radar, like the possibilities, but still, like, nothing prepared you for it. Like, you dry heave, you felt it, like, and that's just the honest to God truth. Like, you can even kind of know what's coming. Like, my husband has cancer, and still, it breaks you. Like, yeah.
Because in your mind, you're like, he's going to beat it. He's going to beat it. We're going to get this. We're going to get this. And until you get that exact.
Yeah.
I've never thought about it that way, because I actually met, I was introduced to somebody, she lost her husband in Iraq. So we were talking after the fact, and I was saying, like, oh, I'm glad that, like, I had time to, like mentally. Yes. And she's like, well, I'm glad that I didn't, and that it was just like, then I'm like, but even so, like, yeah, that whole year, I didn't actually prepare for it, because I didn't, even though I knew it was reality.
Still a little denial, still a little hope. Like,
and I've never thought about it.
And like, this is the thing with talking about it. If you talk about it, it makes it real.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Like, something happens that actually isn't what makes it real yet. When you talk about it, now it's real.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure that's hard to talk about. It's like, well, if we talk about him and these, like, now it's real. So I think that's part of it too, but there's nothing that can prepare you. And I was going to ask you this later. I was going to let you finish. I mean, we haven't even gotten through the day yet before I interrupted
sorry.
you. No, that was my bad, but I just couldn't help myself. But I like, I lost Courtney, gone, couldn't even see her body, was only allowed to see her hand, gone. And I wish like I could have seen her one last time. But then I'm like, would I rather her have cancer for 10 months? Like, I don't know if I could watch that. I don't know if I'd want to watch her. So I don't even know. I don't even.
I know.
And I love bringing that up because it's a perfect example of you can't compare trauma.
No.
You just really can't. There's no measuring stick with this stuff because you're getting into death, grief, love, loss, trauma. There's no measuring stick for this stuff. It's just not good is what it is.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's keep going. Sorry.
Where was I?
So he calls you and he says, there's nothing else.
So I remember getting there and they gave us time alone in a room. And they had said months. So I was like, I can't sit here in this. So I was like, let's go do something. Like, I don't know. Like,
sorry, I want to know. So you get in this room with Clint. Are you guys bawling? Are you hugging each other?
I sat on his lap
and just cried.
and we just hugged each other and just, and I think there was still denial in both of us.
Still not settled in yet.
Like, like we're still like,
let's get a second opinion.
Yeah, like we can still, So we actually went to Disneyland.
I went to Disneyland like a week after the car accident.
You?
I don't even remember it, but I went. Like, my buddy's like, "Do you want to go to Disneyland?" I'm like, sure. Like, I'll cry in Disneyland or here. Like, it don't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's become like a really important place to, like, I feel him there.
Aw,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so anyway, this is like a funny, it's not funny, but like I remember like I had watched him deteriorate so slowly that they did all this special stuff for us. We have amazing friends and family that helped us put it all together. And I remember asking the doctor and he's like, you should go now. If you're going to do this, you need to go now. In my mind, I'm thinking like 6 months. Like, anyway, so you get him there. I'm like, they're not going to believe he's sick. Like he looks so good. And he looked awful. Like I see pictures now and it's like heartbreaking. Wow. He had like
you couldn't even see it.
Put the reservoir in his head so he didn't have to do spinal taps for the medicine that he was getting. Like and he just.
Do you think
I didn't see it?
You think it was just your denial?
Yeah, like it's
you couldn't
so
even
weird
see it
because he looks awful.
That is
like
wow.
He looked sick. Like he was.
And you're just like he looks great.
Yeah,
because you're just like he's gonna be great.
Yeah.
Oh man,
they're not gonna believe that he's sick. Like because he looks so good. Like that's kind of really sad when I think about that. Like that shows the level of like denial that I was.
No, yeah.
And so we got back and this is something hard to say. Because you don't talk about this, and these are like things that you think about that it's so weird that like you hyperfixate. But I made him a peanut butter and jelly sandwich because I don't think he'd eaten all day. And like he had one bite of it and like couldn't eat anymore. And just like that messes with my head. Like that was the last thing he ate. And before that, like I don't remember what he ate. Like I don't know why I've fixated on something like that. But like to know exactly what the last thing he ate was. And we went upstairs and then he went, the next morning he woke up in like excruciating pain. It had spread all to his stomach and everything. I called a friend over and he was obviously in a lot of pain. And I remember like lifting him up and him getting really upset because it was hurting him. And I just said, do you know like who you are, where you are? Like, look at me. And I said, do you know who I am? And he said, I don't talk about this. He said, you're my wife, Kelly. And those are the last things he said. And then he went into a coma. And like that part was peaceful because everyone was able to come in that day. We had lots of friends and family come in and say their goodbyes and tell stories. And then that night, my brother slept in the room with us on the floor. And luckily, he woke up and heard him take his last breath. So he woke me up. Sorry. He woke me up and then, oh, thank you. That's like a prerequisite here, right?
Yeah. My therapist actually told me you shouldn't offer anyone a Kleenex when they're crying
Really?
because you're saying you should stop crying.
Oh, yeah, I can
And he's
see
like,
that.
you don't want them to stop crying. You want them to keep crying. Anyway, I'm so sorry to interrupt.
No, that's good. So anyway, he woke me up, but like he literally died in my arms. So like there are things about that are like, I am glad I had that, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I think the way I would look at it is if Clint could pick a way to die and be in anyone's arms, it would probably be yours.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, and those are the moments that, like, and there are obviously a lot more, but you just don't, you kind of file those away and don't talk. I'm not good at talking about that kind of stuff.
I was terrible at it for so long.
Yeah,
I couldn't go anywhere near it. Can't talk about it because it just hurt. It makes it hurt worse.
Yeah.
It already hurts enough. If I talk, it just opens the wound more. Like, why would we do that? But then I learned, like, you open the wound enough and it hurts worse, but then you find the healing, joy, love part. It's in the same spot as the thing that hurts. And I love that you said it, like, and you should have seen the look on your face. You were like, wow, like, this realization. I don't talk about this.
Yeah.
I love that. If I'm being completely honest.
And we talked at the studio about how it felt like these emotions had been like returning.
Yeah.
Because this happened 10 years,
12, no,
12,
14 almost.
Years ago.
Yeah, so that's what I was talking about with Ryan, that like, I feel like in the beginning, grief is it's panicky and it's overwhelming. It overtakes you.
It's chaos and it's change and it's new and you're a baby again trying to walk.
Yeah. Like I remember like being alone one day and being in the shower and just like yelling his name in the shower, like hoping he'd show up. I don't know what the purpose was behind
literally,
that.
like I have so many moments. It's just insanity. Like what the bargaining stage is just it doesn't even make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'll do anything to talk to me and like how like
but
you're still bargaining. Like I'll do what can I do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then like later on it settles, but it just like literally like seeps into your bones and becomes a whole part of you. And then like I'll have realizations. This is what I was telling Ryan, that like, because my girls were 4 and 1 when he passed away. Yeah. And my oldest daughter's danced since she was 5. So her whole life pretty much. And I'll like have really like, he never saw her dance.
Oh man, yeah.
And that kind of thing just like kills you. And obviously the big like graduations and all these things.
Yeah, I remember like when I took Blue to kindergarten for the first time. I was just bawling. Once I dropped him off, I was just crying, pulling away. Like this is like Courtney should be seeing this, and I should also be dropping off Riggins, and it was just like And everything's the first, like the first birthday without him the first. I think you just said that maybe, but
Well, and even the first day after he passed, I was like, this is the first day in however many years that I haven't talked to him. Like even something like that,
Yeah.
like that realization was just like, that was hard.
You think the first year is harder or the second year? Or is it just a blur?
Yeah. Well, in the beginning, like you have a lot of
Support.
interest and help and support.
Yeah.
And then naturally people have to go back to, like, I understood that. It wasn't like bitter or, you know, like,
but it's still hurt and scary. Yeah. I remember being scared, like, and you just said it, like, I wasn't mad. Like, yeah, it's not your wife, it's not your kids. Like, you need to go back to work. I get it, but like, I can't do that. So I hope that's not the expectation you guys have of me, because I'm not ready to move on at all yet in any way, shape, or form.
Oh yeah,
that's what I felt like. Where did everybody go? Like, it's not fun. And then the shock's wearing off too. At least it did for me. Like, year 2, that like this is your life now.
Yeah.
Year 1 was you're just all over the place. But I love talking to people. You're 14 years down the road.
Yeah.
So like, okay, let me. Okay, so I just did a podcast with, Kimberly Howard, and her son. How long ago did her son die? How long ago was that? Do we remember?
I want to say is
I'm butchering this.
10 plus for sure.
Yeah, it was. Maybe that's what I'm thinking. 10 years for yours, because it was 10 years for her son. Anyway, because I'm a believer in something I've said is the grief, the pain I've come to love and appreciate, because that's what keeps me connected to him. Is this pain. And she was like, she's like, I understand what you're saying. She's like, and I used to be that way. And Ryan, you can jump in if I'm remembering this wrong. But she essentially said, like, my connection with my son that's passed away, Keaton, is love and joy, for sure.
How did her son pass away?
A boating accident. Oh, so he flew off the front, propeller hit him. But that really did something to me, because I was almost positive, like, this is how I'm going to feel the rest of my life. My connection with him is just going to be pain and grief and sadness, and I can hurt and be sad the rest of my life a little bit for them, no problem. But she kind of like, keep going, you're on the right path, keep talking about it. And she's like, eventually, like, that connection can be love and joy again. And that, like, gave me hope. There's that word again, the hope. How
long has it been for you?
Like 2.5 years.
Oh yeah, that's still like,
it's
so
still
fresh.
Yeah, it's Monday evening for me. If grief is, I got to get to Sunday.
Yeah,
I'm like Monday evening. You're like what? You're on Thursday.
Yeah,
maybe Wednesday.
And it does get better. And like, but then, like we were saying, like, you can't compare. And like, I don't know what you've been through. Like, I have no idea what that feels like.
But we kind of do. Like, we do feel the connection of, because when you're talking about Clint, like,
yes,
yeah, like, wow, like,
trying to go on without a spouse.
Feel it a little bit, yeah, for sure, yeah.
But it does. I mean, I get what she's saying, and then like you find the things that like Disneyland. I know that sounds so like silly, but like,
listen,
that's joy.
On the back of Courtney's tombstone, or what is that thing called? Headstone.
Yeah,
it says Slapshot Regatta. It's ridiculous. No one knows what that is except me and her, and that's why I love it. But yeah, it could be Disneyland. It could be Slapshot Regatta. That's what I love, is those inside connections. Like, that's true love to me.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So I love it. Disneyland it up. I personally hate Disneyland, but
I get it. I won't fault you for that, I guess.
But I have a son, and so you got to go. Okay, let's do this. So it's happened 14 years ago. Let's get to your 90%. So maybe year 1 of grief, walk us through where you're currently at, because I'm sure you're still grieving in a way. But talk about it. Your 90%. Was it music? Was it God? Was it religion? Was it your kid? Maybe it was all of it. Was it a weird, corny quote or a movie, a book? Give us some of your 90% right here.
Definitely my kids. Having something to get up that you like literally had to get up for in the morning, you know?
Have to.
Yeah, like they need to eat, they need to, and like that reminder of like life is going on. Like they have to get signed up for kindergarten and all these things. And obviously music. There are a few albums that I listened to during that time, like even now, that just are like everything to me and immediately take me back there.
Can we hear? Can you name a couple, or do you remember?
Brandy Carlisle.
Okay.
I was listening to her a lot during that time. Her Story album. There's a specific song on there that's just means a lot to me.
Yeah, I'm the same way with Metallica.
Yeah, like.
Yeah.
And that will always be like, yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't have like 70 Brandy Carlisle t-shirts.
You don't wear a
I don't
Brandy
even
shirt
one.
every day of your life? No. I do have a Metallica shirt under this white shirt for the record.
That makes
the
me
streak
very
is
happy.
alive.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, and then just like making goals for myself. And so I'll get into this really quickly. I met my husband now 6 months after he passed. He was a contractor overseas. So he was home on vacation and lived in my neighborhood. And everyone's like, Dan's single, Kelly's single. And I'm like,
not ready yet.
yeah, dude.
Yeah.
But we talked. He had just gone through a bad divorce. So like he was in that kind of place too, just trying to heal. And then he went back overseas and we just emailed every month, every day, every month.
Every month.
So romantic.
Those are letters, yeah. We emailed occasionally every other month.
It's like 2 weeks notice.
I had time.
Pen pals.
Every day.
Every day.
And like having, and it wasn't like even like, oh, this romantic thing. It was just, I had a friend that needed a friend too.
Yeah.
Because like I had a lot of good friends and support, but they didn't need me. And so I felt a burden, and they all went to their families at night and I went home and cried. So I was like, it was nice to have someone that also needed me, that I was being a support for him.
Yeah.
That made me feel useful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was huge.
No, I started dating very quickly after the car accident.
Did you?
And I was so alone and broken. But I think I like how you said, like, you liked feeling important for someone else. Mm-hmm. I needed that too. And I had that with Blue. But also, like, I think I'm not built. I'm a team guy. I can't operate by myself. I'm not good. Like, not good at anything by myself. But with teammates, that's me at my best self. And I think everyone does the dating thing differently. Like, some people wait years.
Oh my gosh,
some
that
people
is
are like
such
me
a
and
personal
date
thing.
Immediately.
Did you get any judgment for it?
I'm sure I did.
You didn't hear about it.
I'm sure. We always talk about the blessings of trauma. And one of the blessings I've received is just don't give a shit what anyone thinks of me.
Yeah.
And it's great.
Yeah.
But no, I dated really quick. And like, we broke up. It got bad at the end. Like, I don't think we were right for each other. She was much younger.
Okay. But
she was great. Like, I think I needed her, and she's a great person. And the way I operate, like, if you're my friend, I'll give you I'm all in. I'll do whatever. I'll show up wherever I can. But the yin and the yang to that is, and this is one of the weaknesses I have, like, if we're done, like, we're done. Not a message. Like, we're done. We're never talking again. Like,
Mason.
Something I need to work on. Yeah, like, we're done. Like, no, it's all or nothing. Yeah. And so, like, when we broke up, like, I haven't even seen a picture of her since.
Oh,
but
really?
I wish nothing but the best for her. And I think I needed her, and that we both needed each other, and then we needed to part ways, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got lots of judgment for that one.
That is just such a personal thing.
I
don't know why anybody.
Do you think it's different for guys and girls too, though? I do think that might be a thing as well.
Yeah, like all things, right?
Yeah, or maybe I'm just wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't really bad, and I didn't hear a lot about it, but I definitely felt that.
You got, I was going to ask you, you got some judgment then? Or
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think, and then people question, like, oh, did she really?
Oh, God.
Yeah.
See, I'd never worried about that. Like, if if someone thinks I didn't love Courtney, you obviously you've never met, you have nothing, you have no idea who I am. You have no idea who Courtney was. So I don't value her. It's like you call me up and like, I hate your dog Puddles. I don't have a dog. And if I did, I would not name it Puddles. Like, it's just, it doesn't even register. Like, I don't even know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because it's ridiculous.
That's,
Yeah.
good outlook for that.
Dog Puddles. Okay, so you meet, I'm glad that, because I'm dating again. Mm-hmm. So I met Sammy. We've been dating for about, oh no, should not have gone this direction. Like 8 months maybe. Sorry, Sammy. Don't listen to this episode.
He knows.
Trauma brain.
Exactly.
And like, because I asked you, like, tell me about your 90%, and you met, who's your husband now?
Dan.
And you mentioned Dan, and let's talk more about Dan, because Sammy has really helped me.
Yeah.
So you meet Dan 6 months after. You're emailing him. Let's get back to that. Sorry, I interrupted.
No.
You're like, no, please great. Talk as much as you want.
Yes. Yeah, I'm good with it.
Yeah.
So then we emailed every day. And having something to look forward to, because he was in Kuwait, so it was like different. Like, I got up and I had an email like waiting for me, and like all these things that I was like, I have something.
That's such a good
to look
thing.
forward to every day,
That's
and
great.
it just made it like so much more tolerable. Like, I tell him that, like, you brought me out of that, like, slowly, bit by bit, and so.
How'd your kids react to Dan?
Well, they obviously knew nothing about him during that whole period of time where we were emailing. He came home for another vacation, and I was like, oh, hey, that guy's nice. Yeah. Whatever.
I met Dan when he brought him here. He seems like a great guy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's a Cowboys fan, so other than that.
We won't fault him. He's converted me a little bit.
Yeah.
I like to say it. Even my family, the like diehard Niners fans.
Did you ever talk to Clint about you remarrying or dating if he passed away? Were there ever any conversations?
There was one short conversation, because I was just like, what do I do?
And I think you got, just from listening to your story, I think you guys you had so much hope that he's going to make it. Mm-hmm. I think. So like, why even have that? Like, if you have that conversation, like, what are we really saying here? Like, we need to have, not the mindset you want to have, I guess.
Yeah, we didn't talk about it until the very end. But I was just like, what am I supposed, like, we have 2 girls, and like, I'm not from here. So like my and then my brother that lived here moved, and my sister moved. So like, I had no immediate family here. Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I know we don't want to have this conversation, but he obviously was like, and I never had any doubt in my mind that he wanted me to be happy and move on and have the girls be loved and taken care of.
I know, because Courtney and I, we went to Cabo maybe like 2 weeks before the car accident.
Oh, you did?
Which is like weird now looking, because we had these kids and we didn't have a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so, like, we rarely went on trips, and if we did, we brought the kids. But Courtney's like, we need to go on we haven't been on a vacation, me and you, since our honeymoon. Like, let's go like on a vacation. So we go to Cabo, and while I'm there, a buddy of mine that I just met him maybe a month or 2 ago. I started working with him. Great guy. So I know him not super well, but his name's Wayne Ott. And so I'm on this vacation with Courtney, and Wayne passes away while I'm on this. He drowns on his family vacation. So I get news about that. So Courtney and I are in Cabo, no kids, and I just get off the phone with my buddy who tells me about Wayne, and so I'm just kind of in shock,
Mm-hmm.
and we're thinking about his family. And anyway, it leads us into this in-depth conversation about what we would do if our spouse died.
Really?
Yeah, and I think every married couple kind of maybe jokingly talks about it from time to time.
Oh, yeah.
But like we've never really had a serious we're in a serious conversation about what we would do if one of us died.
That's crazy.
And we talk about obviously like we would want each other to find someone again and for the kids and be a good dad or find a good dad or a good mom, blah 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 blah. And then a week or so later, Courtney's gone. And so and it's funny because if we never had that conversation, I would still know that she thought that. But
Yeah.
that conversation meant a lot to me. And I take a lot of comfort in what she told me. And I think about it a lot. And it's funny how those situations happen, like how they're lined up, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, so.
Well, that makes me happy for you.
Yeah.
That you had that and that vacation.
Isn't that
Those
like
memories.
we had a nice little,
Yeah.
no kids, me and her.
Yeah,
And then we
that's
came
wonderful.
back and spent time with the kids. So even though she told me that, though, Courtney told me that, we had the conversation. I start dating again. You feel guilt with it still, or did you at the beginning? Because I still did.
Oh, yeah.
And it's weird because like I'd have a great time on the date and then I'd go home and cry. And then
No, totally normal.
yeah, right.
Been
And
there,
then
done that. Yeah.
but then it's the you just go through all the stages of it because then I get to a healthy headspace. Like no, like Courtney wants you to be happy. Blue needs a mom. And you're like yeah, and then 2 hours later you're like, what am I doing? It's just so.
It's a lot.
It's a roller coaster.
It really is. It's a lot. And like now, obviously, the guilt, I don't feel the guilt. The only thing I feel guilt about is the stuff that he's missing, like that I get to see it.
So one thing I feel guilty about is like, listen, I was a good husband to Courtney, good father. But like when your world blows up and you lose that much, your perspective can't help but shift.
Yeah.
And now that I'm in this wonderful relationship with Sammy, I do feel like I'm a better. Oh, I don't know if that's true because some days I'm just so depressed. I'm just laying in bed, not doing much. But no, I have moments where I'm like, man, like I wouldn't have thought of this or I wouldn't have done this with Court. Mm-hmm. I just took it for granted.
Yeah.
And now after losing someone like that, I've learned and I'm a much better partner for Sammy in some ways. And that gives me so much guilt. And I have conversations in my head with Courtney like, I'm so sorry. I chose to watch a college football game instead of going on a walk with you. And it just, that gives me a lot of guilt still, for sure.
And that's
totally
normal.
Yeah, like glad that I learned from it and I've grown from it, but like, man, like I could have been better to Court.
But you can't do that.
I know, and I was, and I do know,
and I know that, but
and I was great to her, and we had a great marriage, and so I do a good job of giving me credit for that. But at the same time, like that's what grief will do to you. It teaches you
There's
things.
a lot of shit that your mind will torture yourself with.
Yeah.
Like
and just and then like just being in the moment and just appreciating everything.
Yeah, I approach everything differently now. I really do.
What do you mean by that?
Just trying to be present and just trying to like knowing that like watching a movie with your whole family is like literally as good as it gets.
Yes.
Like I am in those moments always just overwhelmed by like watching Gremlins with my family.
And you're like, I have everything. I'm the richest person. Yeah,
really?
And that's how you feel.
Like it just like I could like start crying doing that because it's just like I know, and just knowing how quick and short everything is, like trying to like not. My husband's a police officer. He's on the SWAT team, so like sometimes he'll get called out in like the most awful times.
Yeah.
You know, you're just like, really? Like my birthday, Christmas, all of it's all happened. And like being angry when he leaves, but then being like, oh crap. Like, oh, I love you. Like texting him, you know,
Like he's
like
using
all those things. Just
he's
like,
using the
never-
battering ram on those days. Like he's the first one in the door if it's your birthday on SWAT team.
Yeah, there we
Like
go.
yeah, like give it over
Give
here.
him.
Let me in.
Yeah. So yeah, I just try and like, and obviously I could be a lot better with so many things. We all can because life's overwhelming. But
How are your kids doing 14 years later?
they're good. I mean, I feel bad. My youngest doesn't know him at all, obviously, but they're starting to like. They want like I've saved a few boxes. They like wear his clothes. My daughter wears his backpack to school.
That's cute.
And
Do you have pictures of them anywhere in the house or?
yeah, they both have
Okay, yeah.
pictures in their room
Good.
of pictures with him. And I try and make it like a non-sad topic. So like I'll tell him constantly bringing him up funny stories, this, that, like, oh, he loved this, he loved that. Like,
How does Dan handle all this?
oh, dude, he's like the most secure man on the planet.
No,
like he never has given me
so great.
anything about
so
like
good.
sharing about him, crying about him.
I have
like,
that. I have that with Sammy. Like,
Good. That's so important.
yeah, like one morning I was just crying, and she knew why, and she just held me, and then
Yeah.
didn't ask me why, and she
Oh,
just
that's
let me cry,
amazing.
and she lets me talk about them whenever. Sometimes she'll ask about them,
Oh, good.
and I do think I think if you are in love with someone who has grief, you do kind of love and accept their grief as
Yeah,
part of
you
them,
have
and I
to.
think Sammy's good at that. Like she respects it and honors it, and I think takes a special someone. Like I don't think that's easy. I don't think it's it for everyone.
No, because it doesn't go away. Because
Yeah,
like I'll
it
tell
does-
him like you knew what you were marrying.
Yeah.
And like it's me. Like 14 years later, there's still things that just
Let's get into that because Ryan kind of asked you that earlier. Like, and it's been down the road. We're 14 years later, and I think you told Ryan like, yeah, it's starting to flare up again. Or how did you
Yeah.
phrase it to Ryan? And why do you think that is?
it's the girls getting older. I think like I said, and I was telling him the Steve Phillips that we met through.
Yeah.
Like he's been in my life forever and he's like one of my best buddies and Clint never met him. Like you'll have those kind of realizations of like something that feels like it's been a part of my life for so long and he never even knew him. Like
Yeah.
and like I said with the never seeing her dance, my middle child is an amazing guitarist, like so good. And like that he's not watching that.
Yeah.
Like just tears me apart.
Yeah. My sister-in-law, Keisha, so my brother was in a car accident, her husband. So she lost husband and her son, Ryder.
Yeah.
She gets that with Ran and Faith a lot because they're teenagers, and she'll text me like, "Ran had a great game, but like, wish race was like race should
Yeah.
be here." I'm like, and I remember, oh man, crying's weird because if I talk about stuff I've talked before, I can cry no problem. If I dive into something I haven't talked before, I cry.
That was me.
But I remember my nephew Ran's a really good football player. And so they're doing like the end of the year banquet. And I got invited to go with Keisha. It was just like close. It was like parents only. And I love that I got to go and see Rand because Rand doesn't really Rand's Rand. And we love him. And I felt so cool that I got to be there for Rand, but then I'm like, I'm so sorry, Race. Like I wish
Because that was your brother.
Yeah, like this should be you, man. So yeah, I get those too. Yeah, I haven't thought when Blue's older and teenager and he's getting married and all that stuff. I'm sure it's always just gonna kind of suck.
But for me, like I said, it's not that panicky, overwhelming, intense. Do you want the tissues?
Sure. Using my shirt like an idiot.
Hey, go for it. it is a different. It's still a sadness, but it's like quieter. Does that make sense? Like it's more settled.
It's kind of like you get in the hot tub and it's boiling hot, and then
yeah,
you get used to it.
So it's a different kind of pain for me. It's sad, it's awful, but it's not that like stabbing. But it's always there. Like, and those kinds of things bring it up, and those kinds of things kind of pick at the scab.
What do you do when those things? I just cry and maybe talk about it if I have enough courage to tell someone, but I just feel it and cry.
That's the thing. For me, it's like I'm such a big proponent for everything in life. Like, feel it.
Yeah.
Like, if you need to go in a room and like snot coming out of your nose, cry. Like, like do that. Or if you think that going to like whatever it is that's gonna make you feel better, but like just feel it.
Just crying
it.
right there. Like I feel better now.
Yeah.
I feel a little better now.
Good.
And like I cried now. Like let's laugh a little now. Like okay, like we honored the sadness. It's time to be happy again.
Yeah. I got this. I do.
Oh.
I swear.
What like, okay. You're 14 years removed. Someone, this is going to be a brutal question because I hate when people ask me this question. But like advice to someone just lost a loved one. Because I get messages all the time like, what do I do? How do I get through it?
Yeah.
What do you what do you tell them? I'm not really sure what to say. What I do say is I'm sorry. I know the pain never goes away. I'm glad you told me. Those are kind of what I say to them.
I like that. Glad you told
But
me.
like I don't. But I do. This is why I asked. I think is I like how you said you gotta feel it. That's something that took me a while. It took me a long time to understand that. Like maybe a year.
Well, that's
until
daunting.
I'm like, I have to just feel this.
And like really like sit in it.
Like, yeah, and not
really
numb it
in
with
there.
getting drunk or like you have.
Yeah.
This is not going anywhere, dude.
Yeah. And like
the obstacle is the way.
I had nights of like literally on my knees crying, like I said, the ugly cry, snot, like just, and lots of those moments. Yeah. And then for me, it was connections with people that brought me out of it. Like recognizing that those are still valuable. And because like all I can speak to is losing a spouse. I mean, I've lost friends and things, but past that, they're the person like you put your future on, you know, like we're doing this together. Yeah, like, and when the kids leave, like we'll still be together. Like this is it, man. Like ride or die. And then to like have that pulled out from under you is very, well, shit. What do I do now?
And then like with Dan, like, do you ever get scared? Like he's just gonna randomly.
I can't even go there.
I have a fear. Wait, what do you mean?
Like mentally?
Yeah, so you struggle with that? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I struggle with that with Blue and Sammy.
He's a police officer too.
Oh God.
So like, there's that. But like, literally, I think like I have like this mental block of like, nope, I'm not gonna think about that. Like, I literally can't go there.
Yeah.
So like, because we've been to funerals for police officers here, and like, it's almost like I'm just like.
And real quick, like, we don't need to go too far off. We should get into movies here soon, but like,
yeah, sorry,
but the fact that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the way I understand it. Cops who have been shot some, or just been through whatever they've seen, not good. Like if they go to therapy and they talk and they open up and cry and they be vulnerable, they could like, oh, you actually can't work for 8 months, right? Isn't that like a thing? I think that's a true thing. Like they're
I think it's getting a lot better.
They're like scared, and I hope it is good. That's just like when I learned of that, I'm like, damn, that's so.
People are more aware of like this is a thing.
Can't really open up and express what they need to express because they might lose their job and they can't like, or at least not work.
I mean, that's Matt Quackenbush's whole. We have.
Is it? Oh, is it?
Yeah, Mason and I's therapist that we've worked with, his Deer Hollow.
That's what they focus on.
First responders.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I mean, they see trauma every day.
Yeah.
You know, pretty much.
Oh, man.
So.
And the compartmentalization they have to do, I mean, therapists do that too. Like they hear these brutal stories, and you got to drive home to your kids.
Yeah,
like,
I'm friends with lots of therapists.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know how
I don't
y'all
know
do
how.
it. Yeah.
My dad is one. I'm like, I don't know how he did it.
Yeah.
He still does it. Like crazy.
That's a lot.
Anything else you want to say before we wrap it up and get into movies?
No, I just think it's crazy that I talked about a lot of that.
I'm proud of you. That's so great. I hope you talk about it again here soon.
Yeah. I know people are going to be shocked. They know me
you
well. She
talked
talked
about
about it. What is this?
No, I do feel like I do kind of think and maybe this is just me being me, but I do kind of feel like the culture is they die, you get the funeral, and then you get the death date. And then other than that, like you just kind of shut up about it. Like, and I'm like, no, like we're gonna start a podcast and talk about it weekly.
I love that. I watched all
Yeah,
your videos
so-
when he told me about it, and like,
That's kind of what we're about. We like to talk about it and talk about difficult things. So thanks
and
for
just feeling
coming on.
connected to
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
like you're my bud now, Mason.
I've made many friends.
Yeah.
Everyone we've had on. We need to start like a wall for everyone we've had
Hall
on.
of Fame.
The Hall of Fame.
Mason's buddies.
The Mason's buddies list. Okay, let's top 3 favorite movies and we'll be done.
Dude, that's like the hardest question.
This is the hardest question I ask people.
And everyone
like
says the
that.
same thing.
Most
like-
watched movies.
So let me clarify. This is Desert Island style. So you have 3 movies
So it's
the
not
rest
necessarily-
of your life.
like movies I think are the best.
Right.
movies
You get 3
ever.
movies. So a lot of people like to pick different genres to cover bases, but you can do whatever you
I'm a
want.
well-rounded individual.
Yeah, but you have 3 movies to watch the rest of your life.
Back to the Future, I think.
Never been said on this show. And that's a good pick.
That's a great pick.
Really?
Back to the Future when he plugs in that amp at the beginning and just
I always plugged
blows
my
his-
ears when I was a kid. Like it scared me.
Back to the Future is
Yeah.
great.
It's great, right?
Off to a great start.
Okay. If I'm on a desert island, they've got to be like. And I love. Have you seen The Burbs?
I have not seen The Burbs.
I've not seen the Burbs.
You have homework.
I
Both
do.
of you.
We've been getting movies lately
What?
that I haven't known. Kimberly struck me out
Wait,
last
so what's
week.
the Burbs about?
Yeah.
It's Tom Hanks. It's an 80s comedy. It's a dark comedy. They have like neighbors that move in that they think are serial killers.
This sounds great.
See,
Dude,
it sounds
yeah.
really this is like a classic, huh?
I'll
yeah.
I'll watch The
Yeah,
Burbs.
Yeah.
as soon as you said it, I'm like,
I'm a Tom Hanks
this is one of
guy.
those ones that, for some reason, maybe it's because we were born in the '90s. I don't know.
I was gonna say you guys are slightly younger than
Just
me,
like
so I
just
Right.
missed it, kind of
Yeah.
thing. One of those. Yeah.
All right, you got one more.
gosh, I don't know. What's the last one?
It can't end until you pick another one.
We'll just be here for another
We're
hour.
here.
We,
We're stuck.
Wedding Singer.
oh my
Oh.
god.
They all have to be funny. If I'm gonna be on a deserted island, I gotta have like.
I'm on my knees. Pretty, pretty, please kill me.
Put a bullet in my head.
Put a bullet in. He's losing his mind.
And
I need more money. I have a jar on top of my fridge where I keep money. I'd like to put more money in that jar. That's where you
That's
come
where
in.
you come in. I could do this all day, Mason. We can just start at the beginning scene and go for it.
And then how? I'm a man too, Pop. Goddamn, you're a moron.
No lessons, self-taught.
So
Thanks, Pop.
the best man, the better man.
Oh, good. I'm glad you guys like that one.
Oh man,
great
I
pick.
got the Wedding Singer is so good. You spin me. How about what's his sidekick that sings? Do you really
George.
want to?
Sure.
It's the only song he
They're
knows.
starting to turn on George.
Yeah, that was a good one. All right, well, we got some movies to watch.
Burbs. I'll do
Burbs,
it.
yeah. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate you.
Of course, this was great.
It
This
was
was good
good.
for me.
It was good.
Yeah.
Life's 10% what happens to you and 90% what you're gonna do about it.